It's cool if we just, like, basically miracle a Baneslayer Angel into play for 2 mana, right? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another look at some Warhammer 40k cards, and today we're going to be testing out Triumph of Saint Katherine. So, on the surface level, this is a 5/5 lifelinker with kind of no other abilities for 5 mana, which is not really acceptable by Legacy standards. But here's the thing. The miracle mechanic is kind of broken, and for years, off and on, we have seen, in particular, Terminus, just as a 1-mana instant speed board wipe, do some serious heavy lifting in Legacy, a format defined by brainstorms and cantrips. So, when we start looking at this for its miracle cost, a 5/5 lifelinker that could maybe come off mid-combat off of a brainstorm, now, all of a sudden, that's really cool. Conceptually, I know this says 2 mana, but I think a lot of times you should be thinking about this with Brainstorm or with some other card draw trigger, such as an Up the Beanstalk trigger. So it's really closer to 3 a lot of the times, or maybe 2 with some setup. You ponder, you leave it on top of your library, and then you naturally draw it the next turn. This is a card I think a lot of people are excited about. Based on what I have been seeing and the conversations that I've had with people, temper your expectations on this card a little bit. You know, I know I want to hype up the new cards, but from what I've been told, this card isn't as good as people think it is. Now, very specifically, when you are playing this in a shell with Up the Beanstalk, and in addition to the miracle stuff, it also draws a card, like, this is pretty cool. But Triumph of Saint Katherine is a build-around card, not a shove it in every deck that has white, and is a control deck card. And I am a big believer in, like, shut up and test the card for yourself. You know, that's something that I have believed for years and years and years. So, like, I am going to go in with an open mind, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm skeptical on this one. So thank you to Plum Wizard for donating so that I got to try out Triumph of Saint Katherine. And I think I just pulled a 5/0 deck list here. That is essentially a Bant Control deck. You can call it Miracles if you want, but you know, this is really a Bant Up the Beanstalk Control deck list. We have our traditional 8 cantrips plus Lorien Revealed, and a handful of other things that have card draw ability. Unlike many older Miracles decks that would win eventually with like 1 Entreat the Angel or a Jace Ultimate or something like that, we are going to be looking to turn the corner much faster. Murktide Regent and Triumph of Saint Katherine are both very large, like above average sized bodies. And we are looking to kill in like 3 or 4 attack steps most of the time, rather than over a long, prolonged game. We have some amount of dazes. It's a little rough to play Daze if you are actually trying to tap out for a 5-drop threat. We're hoping not to pay full cost for this most of the time, but things do happen. Notably, there is another chunk of Triumph of Saint Katherine in the middle here. When it's put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it and the top 6 cards of your library in a face-down pile. If you do, shuffle that pile and put it on top of your library. So against non-exiling removal, Triumph of Saint Katherine will come back, and you know, you're going to have that, 1 in 6 chance of just naturally redrawing it and miracling it each turn without necessarily setting it up again. One other thing that I want to draw your attention to is these Surveil lands, Hedge Maze and Meticulous Archive. When these ETB, you get to Surveil 1. I don't know, maybe we're looking to have a certain card on top of our library and miracle it into play. Maybe we're looking to grow our Murktide Regent. Or maybe we're looking to get rid of the middle card off of a Ponder. Like, these can do a lot of work here. They will mean that we'll be a little slower to get off of the ground. They're like Schrodinger's good with days. They're good in that you can reuse them. They're bad in that if you play it and then like daze immediately. Like you are not getting actual mana usage out of your land, but it's good utility to stick onto something. Most of the stuff in the sideboard here you will probably recognize. It has seen play at some point over the course of Legacy, although Court of Cunning is certainly a little bit spicy here. Now, if you like what you see today and you need to pick up some cards, or maybe you're thinking about ordering some Fallout cards, consider checking out toamagic.com. That is Tales of Adventure. They have shipped over 1 million orders at this point, and they have free tracked shipping on all orders. You want everything from one store in one envelope with free shipping and sent out quickly? TOA is your place. With that being said, let's miracle some... What is it? Is it an angel? Let's miracle some human warriors. All right, I don't think I like this hand. Like, this is the Meticulous Archive Days situation that I was talking about, where I'm going to be very slow to actually put something meaningful into play. I'm not used to evaluating hands like this, so my gut says mulligan. I'm going to sit here and think about it for a second. Like, I get a draw step, plus a surveil, plus a draw step, plus a brainstorm in theory to hit another land drop. I'm relatively dead to wasteland. I think this is a mulligan, but I've never been in this situation before. So I'm going to keep this and see how this feels. I think doing the thing for science is meaningful. No shuffle off the ponder. Never didn't have it. I think I am into doing this. Well, that's awkward timing. I'm not ready for that yet. I think finding my green mana is important enough that I just get rid of this. We'll find another one later. That's just a touch awkward. Like, I can draw it, brainstorm it back, and like have the turn 3 5/5 lifelinker, but I'm not setting myself up for a long game versus an opposing blue deck. Great, we found another threat. So, is my opponent on Bug Beans? Let's find out. This is just a primo spot to cast a Bowmasters. There's the Bowmasters. Here's my Daze. All right, cool. I did not find a fetch land. However, I can surveil a card off of the top here. I'll put back a card that I'll draw next turn and a card that I want to get rid of. Now I'll do this and surveil up the Beanstalk into my graveyard. Alternatively, I could put an instant or sorcery on top and then surveil that in for the purposes of Murktide Regent, and I think that's also kind of reasonable. These lands are paradigm shifting. Note that the last episode of the Eternal Glory podcast, or maybe 2 episodes ago by the time this goes live, does explicitly cover these surveil lands and some of their uses and utility. I'm missing out on my tertiary color here. I'm missing out on the green to cast this. That's fine. I'm going to let that resolve and just swords it. I'm okay taking the 1 point of damage here. I guess another thing I need to start thinking about is, like, by default, which one of these do I tap against a deck that contains Wasteland? Because, like, if my opponent were to Wasteland me to take me off of mana, which one of these do I want? What is this? Do I care? I think this looting is relevant. All right, my opponent is willing to fight over it. That's fine. Like, I'll probably just slam a Narset into the Dak Faden. My opponent could have some Punishing Fire style stuff in their deck list that has graveyard synergies. They could have some Light from the Loams, Murktide Regents, that sort of stuff. All right, they're just looting through lands. That's fine. So there's my other color. I think I like Narset minus and then Beanstalk and Murktide Regent in the same turn cycle. I imagine this now resolves after my opponent fights over this. Prismatic Ending, not bad. Lorien Revealed, also not bad. I think I'm just going to take the ending. They did that targeting themselves into my Narset. They now have to discard 2 cards. That's rough. Oh, discarding an Assassin's... Oh. Oh, that hurts my soul. No attack with the orc. Oh, that's a cool draw. Bowmasters. I think I'm just gonna live with it. Oh, no Bowmasters? Oh, shit, my opponent's Hellbent. Lol, okay. Well. Four Swords, Brainstorm, Days, some other card. Start cantripping. This kills the Faden next turn, unless my opponent finds an answer to it. And then I can, like, clean up the board with Prismatic Ending, draw 4 with a Lorien Revealed. The deck, like, will do a good job of digging for a removal spell. But if they use their one card to remove this, I will just Prismatic Ending the deck and move on with my life. Oh, Life from the Loam. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That is fine. Yes? Yeah, that's fine. Actual factual miracle, as Richard Garfield intended. Rather than the one that requires setup. This draws a card. Just vomit. Just, oh god, a third Prismatic Ending. This deck slaps. So we'll kill Faden, which I think is worth doing. I don't want to mess around with that emblem. I'm going to go ahead and fetch. I'll just grab a Tundra. We're going to ending the Fable itself. So we will go white, blue, green. Get that out of here. Pass turn. We have 12 power in play. Well, Kathy, I know I was critical of you in the intro. That felt pretty good. That felt pretty good. All right, what are we into for the post-sideboard games? Hydroblast is probably reasonable for things like Fable and Faden. Sword of Cunning is probably reasonable. Although my opponent might be a little too good at taking this, and like that might be awkward to inject into a Bowmaster game. I don't know, maybe I'm not sideboarding much. Veil's okay. Hydroblast is okay. I don't think I'm into Lavinia. A surgical or two is justifiable, but I don't know if I need it if I just have, like, swords and Prismatic Ending. I don't have a lot of experience playing Beans. Like, conceptually, I don't really want Force of Will, but Force of Will cantrips off Beans and cantrips multiple times later on. I'm going to take out my Dazes on the draw for some of these and then just kind of maybe play some more efficient spells in these other slots. I do not have the reps to know for sure. Yeah, I like this. Skip turn 1 to get some surveil value. Play Beanstalk turn 2. Hopefully play Teferi turn 3. Maybe Brainstorm turn 2 instead. That might be a thing. Main phase 1, turn 1 on the play Brainstorm? Cycle Lorien Reveal in upkeep is about the only thing that makes sense to me if that's the starting line. I think I'm going to go ahead and continue this. A Lorien Revealed. I do want more mana. I don't really want to pay a mana for that extra mana if possible. And I think I'm just going to bin this in respect of Murktide Regent and friends. Oh. My opponent has looked at the same set of cards a couple of times. Hey, there's Murktide Regent. I'm going to play this now. I think I'm just gonna Beans. I don't know. This is a really good opportunity to cast a Brainstorm where I know it doesn't get Bowmastered. It could get Red Blasted, though. I think I'm going to say that's fine. I think resolving one of these around Bowmasters sounds really good. Fantastic. I am not ready for Supreme Verdict. I think I'm just going to get rid of the Brainstorm. I'm going to go for green mana here. I think it's Trop. Do I really only have one untapped green source? That is conceptually wild to me. All right. Let's ponder. This feels like a lot of clunk. I think I would be happy drawing one of these. I don't know that I want this entire pile. Well, we found a Teferi anyway. Having only one untapped green source means that I can't do something like fetch Trop and then... Like, I'm not going to be able to up the Beanstalk with Veil backup. Weird. Yeah, does that mean I'm just Teferiing this turn? Teferi's awkward if my opponent Bowmasters. Yeah, I think I am going to Beans. with swords available or a Bowmaster's, which seems likely if my opponent is fetching. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're hoping that this resolves, at which point we don't care about the little token that's left over. That's fine. That's great value for me. So I'll take a little bit of damage in the short term, and I can use Teferi to ultimately clean up that orc. You're one card late. Such is life. But like, I'm already going to have Murktide Regent with Force of Will and Veil of Summer backup available next turn. I think I'm okay with my opponent's Bowmaster. This is target player, which is like awkward. I don't care if my opponent's looting. I do care if they are targeting me, though. I think this is worth 2 cards here. It's awkward that casting the Force triggers the Bowmasters. Narset's kind of whatever. But you can see why Orcish Bowmasters is 40% of the meta, right? Like, good card, confirmed good. An ending. Love that. So I think we're going 2 colors, answer Bowmasters. I think I'm willing to jam Naked Murktide Regent here. I think I'm leaving swords in graveyard as my thing that I could fish back later. So there's going to be a 1-turn window where this Murktide Regent is vulnerable to removal, and then after that I will have Veil of Summer up. If my opponent uses their mana to just remove Murktide Regent with something like an Assassin's Trophy, like I will just slam some Planeswalkers and be okay with that. I'll take a basic island. So this is going to give me 6 mana for both Narset and Teferi on my turn, which is hot. Oh, okay. This Kathy card, this is like pretty decent. A swords too? Disgusting. So we'll fetch. Let me get like a plains here. So I think my plan is Teferi with Veil of Summer available. We'll kill that token. Draw. Oh my god. What a first round showing for this stuff. Dak Faden. I don't feel like that does anything. Like, it lets my opponent loot, but I have like 2 layers of protection. I also have Narset. I can also just kill this on an attack step. That resolves. You got it. Like, this is faithless looting that gains my opponent 5 life. Discarding 2 Dak Fadens. My opponent has 1 card left. Do I care? I don't think that's worth my Force of Will right now. Yeah, you got it. So we're obviously going to combat and killing this. We do so while gaining a bunch of life. I will now drop a Narset. And this is a Narset that's protected by all this stuff. So this is good. What a wealth of riches. I'm going to take it to Teferi and just, I think, not even cast it. I think it's more important to hold up Veil of Summer right now. I don't know. Maybe I can just tap out for it. It just like commits my Force of Will. So let's Teferi. This causes my opponent to have to move first if they have anything relevant. They don't. I think it's fine to just Narset minus this down to 1. I'm just going to take another Force of Will. Make a land drop. And at this point, my opponent is ready to concede. Well, this felt really damn good this round. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists, and they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. All right. I have kept kind of a slow opening hand here. I'm hoping that this just finds me something relevant to do. In the dark, I'm going to say no. Tarn and pass. I think I'm just going to play land pass and do an upkeep brainstorm or a brainstorm in response to a fetch land. I don't know, maybe I should get a little more information first here. Ooh. Wish I had the Force of Will. I'm going to brainstorm. We're going to put some of these back in deck. We can find those later. I'm going to snag Trop and I think brainstorm again. This is a whole lot of nothing. So I want Teferi as my top card. I want to hide things. So I think I am hiding Supreme Verdict and Teferi. This will give me a chance to bounce a creature out of play and then destroy all creatures. And I have the mana to do all of it. Bouncing the creature is not necessarily the best versus Atraxa. Ooh. Fuck. This is like Atraxa while wastelanding me. And my opponent gets another Entomb and Reanimate. So they are the hybrid Reanimator / Scam style deck list. So my Surgicals in my sideboard are pretty reasonable, as is Veil of Summer. I think this game isn't like close enough to over that I should just concede. Like my opponent has another Entomb, another Reanimate, and a Wasteland for this white source. I guess I could brainstorm into exactly Swords to Plowshares, and then I'm still okay, but life's awful. So I know one card down is Supreme Verdict. Daze, Force Negation. I think this is too slow. I'm going to go ahead and toss in the towel. And I think I'm looking for 6 cards. There's some tension here because I have to respect small creatures while also respecting the giant ones. So, like, I still need the Prismatic Endings, Swords to Plowshares type cards for the aggro creatures, while I have to be respecting the combo finish as well. I don't know how into Narset I am. A lot of times this is just, like an overcosted Impulse type card, because my opponent is just going to have creatures in play. I think this is going out. I don't know how hot on Force of Negation I am. Force of Negation does not help answer the creatures. This gets me this much, and then I figure out, like, how many of these Surgicals do I want? It's possible that I don't want to daze against the Wasteland deck. I could see doing something that looks like this. Like, it's stable, it's not exciting. The Surveil land means that this kind of has another cantrip, kind of. I think I'm going to reluctantly keep this. I think I'm going to lead like this. Islands on bottom, and I think I'm fine with these. This way I have a Swords on top for if my opponent does something like Grief, Reanimate Grief on me. Not this time. I'd like to shuffle away this island. It's a little weird with regards to leaving up Swords versus like using a Surveil land. I think I'm going to ponder now. Kathy? I'm into it? I think I'm into it. So my opponent could like end of turn Entomb, then play a large creature. I get 2 shots at swordsing it while sticking Kathy. This is fine. I would vastly prefer to answer this before it comes into play, but that's not happening this time. We'll Swords in response to the trigger. Try to maximize our chances at actually removing this. We're going to have a fight. That is a daze, unfortunately. Oh. So my opponent is going to be able to back up Atraxa with probably Force of Will here. And then they can also take like Entomb, Animate Dead, Force, Animate Dead, Thoughtseize, Delta. My opponent's going to discard 2. They discarded the Delta. Am I into this still? I think I'm into this. Like, we'll cast this. This is our bait on Force of Will. Bait was not successful, unfortunately. I know Thoughtseize is coming. I think I am going to try to get Force of Will plus blue card off this Swords. I have succeeded. Then Thoughtseize whiffs. We're hoping to dodge Dark Ritual. Yeah, that's a whiff. The Atraxa hits me for 7. And this has more keywords than my creature does, unfortunately. That's fine. I thought about that. That really only matters for, like, Supreme Verdict. Oof. I can use a Surveil land at end of turn. Yeah, I'm chilling for now. But these hits for 7 are rough. The next one kills me, and this doesn't have flying. It's not a literal Baneslayer. That's happening. My kingdom to find Supreme Verdict here. I'm at 5. Let's do the green Surveil land. Murktide? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a 7/7 Murktide that could, in theory, trade with Atraxa. That keeps me in the game. I don't know that this wins me the game, though. I think I'm going to try to do better than this. Awkward. We're doing it. Those are no removal spells at all. And I don't get a redraw off up the Beanstalk. So if I play Murktide and trade, and then I have Surgical Extraction versus their onboard this. I have another turn of a whiff. They probably don't even attack into this. They wait for a removal spell or something else that can attack into it. I am not sure if what I did was correct. I don't regret swinging for the fences there and trying to actually win. Because if I remove this actively, and I get an immediate attack with this, like that takes a body off the board, and I think I'm ahead rather than behind. I still have 3 cards to get through, including an Animate Dead. So like if I trade with this in combat rather than exiling it, this Animate Dead comes back. Yeah, no, I like what I did. Today's video is sponsored by TopDeck.gg. They're an awesome company that runs an awesome tournament series. If you would like to play for prizes such as Time Twister, check out the Top Deck Championship Series. It's run using their patented Command Tower software, which is awesome for EDH events, although you can use it for anything. Your players can scan QR codes and then get real-time standings and seamless pairings for their event. If you're looking to step up your local tournament game, check them out. All right, my opponent is playing a Yorion deck. Their name is Orzhov Control. They might be playing a D&T deck. My hand's kind of awkward. Like, I don't have a good way to get instants and sorceries into the graveyard for Murktide quickly. I don't have green mana. If my opponent is playing something fair like Death and Taxes, I can just like make land drops, brainstorm, triumph onto the top of my deck, play a 5/5 lifelinker, and like that's cool. I'm gonna say awkward keep. Probably Death and Taxes. Definitely a little weird. I think I do my opponent's upkeep brainstorm, putting Triumph 2 down, and just fully play around Bowmasters. So I will put back Triumph, and the second card doesn't matter too much, probably just a prismatic ending. A port is awkward, but fine. Like, if my opponent uses their mana to do this rather than advancing their board, I think this ultimately favors me. So now we'll ponder. We're looking for more mana. I did not find that mana. Since port can disrupt my mana, we're going to get rid of this Triumph plan. We'll go ahead and shuffle. I did find another land. It's an awkward one. Hopefully that's fine. All right, so here's the start of the white mana. I'm going to just counter that. Mostly because I want more instants and sorceries in my graveyard for the purposes of Murktide Regent. I currently don't have green mana for this. I think this is just get the tapped land out of the way in case I get like wastelanded or fielded. And then next turn, if I whiff, in theory, I could hardcast a Murktide Regent. I think we're going to be a bit further away from that. Sure. That one's happening, unfortunately. I really don't want to prismatic ending a Recruiter of the Guard. Finding Stoneforge Mystic. Flicker Wisp or Friends could be in hand. I'd love to draw a fetch land. Daze, not great right now. I think I am on awkward tap out Murktide Regent dot plan. Like, it's still a 6/6 at the end of the day. Stoneforge happens. Getting a Batterskull, sure. Gonna get ported off a white source. There's green mana. That is fantastic. I very actively need that. So that gets me here as a starting point. I'm gonna hit for 6. The next question is, do I prismatic ending a Stoneforge Mystic? I'm not excited to do so, but I think since my mana is kind of tight, I am just going to do this. And if my opponent goes land drop into Batterskull, I get to daze it. Lauren is fine. Like, that allows me to just tap out for this and just play a giant body. And playing the giant body while having days is cool. The swords, unfortunately, does happen. I don't think we're in for that just yet. I think I'm just going to do this right now. It can come back later, but I just don't know that I'm going to get another chance to 5 mana tap out play something that looks like this. My opponent has so many land drops. There's the Batter Skull. Around days, unfortunately. Sure. So this is probably enough value that I start thinking about Supreme Verdict. Yeah, I think I'm into it. My opponent takes the hit, and I think I'm just going to Verdict. This is clearing out these ETB trigger bodies. Is this game 1? Yep, my opponent is just not on board for dealing with this matchup, apparently. We'll take it. Island Ponder Keep? I think this was the player who played the Cool Madness Brew that I played against a week or so ago. Put this 3 down, and I can decide whether or not I want it later. I have to not fetch next turn if I do want the Triumph, which I probably do if my opponent is playing Madness. Looks like no to Madness. You can see my Ponder, which I'm probably redrawing, but I could Island Cycle out of it. Basic Plains. Oh. Sure, so this is probably a mono-white painter deck list. So, do I still want the Ponder that's on top of my deck? I kind of want to just get a Tundra and swords this immediately. You can draw your card, like that's fine. We'll just kind of shuffle the Cathy back in there somewhere. This can only be activated as a sorcery. I guess I should do it now, though. Because of artifact lands, I should not take a chance on that. Oh, Opter Foundry. That's spicy. I think I'm fighting over this. I think this is scary. And then I can use Narset to dig for an answer to whatever my opponent plays out here. This one's definitely a brew, though. Ooh. Sure. This is fine. Weird. Oh, I love me a Murktide. So I think we put back land ending? Yeah, I think I'm going to put back this, with the intention of playing a tap-out card of some kind next turn. I think Prismatic Ending is good, but I don't think my opponent's going to put enough pressure on me that, like, these become not good to do. So they liked what they found off Ponder. Sure. My opponent cracks that. I'm going to just, like, shuffle and do a Surveil land. I think the white one. I don't need that. I wouldn't be unhappy drawing land, but I don't actively need it. Yeah, so I'll save the fetch. I think I'm dropping Narset first. Narset is the, like, counterspell bait / put it on board to make my opponent's cantrips worse card. Daze is good. I don't think Daze is good if I reveal it. I'm just going to take a Swords. Then I am covered versus, like, Oswald Fiddlebender or Painter or whatever else is over there. Okay, yeah, my call for Painter was correct. So it's Narset minus Teferi. Teferi's really cool. I think I'm going to grab that and immediately play it. Oh, I'm dumb. Well, we did it. So this is in play. My opponent can't really respond. I'm going to use this mana to ponder, and then use that to inform my decision for Teferi. Let's say no. New Teferi. I'll take the tempo play here. Sure. I'm going to turn the corner on this game relatively quickly. My opponent's cantrips are off. I have a removal spell for a Painter Servant, if that happens, that my opponent can't counter. I'm maybe not 100% safe, but I am at least safe adjacent. Sure. We will Teferi plus... I have 10 cards in graveyard? I think I'm leaving I'm leaving either Ponder or Swords in there. I'm going to leave Ponder. I'm going to pass the turn holding up Swords. Oh, you would like to grind me? Yes. Please fuel my Murktide Regent. That will grow this Murktide Regent as well. I'm not really convinced that activating that Grindstone was tactically correct. Verdict, Ponder, bam, bam, bam. Scales up the first Murktide by 2 and turns this into a 2-turn clock. Now, my opponent may already think they're dead and they are just grinding me to see extra cards in my deck, which is, like, perfectly fine. And it appears that that is the case. Yep. All right, cool. So, blue-white Painter Thopter Foundry combo. These Stony Silences are going to be hot. That might be all I'm boarding. Like, Dress Down and Court of Cunning have some utility, but I feel like I'm pretty well situated for this matchup. I'm going to keep the Supreme Verdict because if Thopter Foundry goes wrong and my opponent goes wide of me, like, that is a way to, like, sweep the board, Stony Silence afterwards, or, you know, in some order like that. I think I'm just going to get rid of my Dazes on the draw for the Stony Silences. It's also possible that I can go down a threat comfortably. This is fine. I'm slightly spooked by Wasteland with, like, double ETB tapped land. Oh, shit. That's so good. I think I am just going to top that. It is, like, not a thing that I want unless the worst case scenario happens, in which case it is one of my best possible cards if I get Wastelanded, which I am super, super afraid of right now. So I just have, like, this great endgame setup and a great immediate play. Maybe I should have brought in Dress Down for Urza Saga tokens. I regret doing that. Or not doing that, rather. That's fine. I probably just set up Beans this turn, then. I don't think I need 2 Swords immediately versus that. Like, this is a Force of Will bait if my opponent has it. Alright, our mana is set, more or less, for the rest of the game. The Canonist pokes here or whatever. Yeah. That's fine. I don't have Uro. Like, it's still something versus Murktide. Like, it's not irrelevant. Thopter Foundry. Sure. So, what's the game plan? Stony bricks these, then I have this stuff to deal with. I think I'm surveilling. Ending? Swords a token, ending a token. That's fine. Here's to hoping this resolves. Nice. That's fine. My opponent will have relatively large Urza Saga tokens, but I have answers to those. So I need 1 mana to Swords to Plowshares a token. That means that I do have 3 valid mana to use elsewhere. I think I'm into this and this. And this Narset becomes a distraction. Oh, fuck, it's Supreme Verdict. That's great. Well, I'm passing the turn. I might still end up taking out this Saga token just because it is going to be worth so much damage. I have to wait until my opponent's turn because I cast Narset. Now, my opponent's in this weird position where if they just float mana, like, I maybe just, like, remove this and don't even cast the Supreme Verdict. Yeah, I think that's the plan. Revealing that Supreme Verdict just gave me some weird value. The Opal currently does not produce mana. Stony Silence could leave play at some point this game. Like, it's not unreasonable for my opponent to play. Hoo-hoo-hoo! Annoying. My Narset will presumably get poked. I've got to take out the Crucible. That's my spell for this turn. Blue, white, green? Oh, sorry. The Crucible's gone. And I just, like, Mystic Sanctuary back Swords, probably. And my opponent can't crack the Soul Guide Lantern because of Stony Silence. Narset did some good work. Like, that was worth a respectable amount of life, and presumably slowed down my opponent quite a bit. Oh. There's a reason to have gotten Prismatic Ending instead. That's rough. So now Mox Opal is on. And I have this swords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. I'll swords some of that away. I think I just hold Murktide Regent. Now put this land into play. Yes. And I think I'm just going to swords this immediately. My opponent could sack both Lotus Petal and this to Thopter Foundry. Big creature. This land could get Pithing Needled. I don't think that's the end of the world if it happens. I think it's more likely that my opponent just grabs a Grindstone to threaten that possibility. LED. Sure. I'm going to take a little damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got it. So I think we're going white and doing this here Supreme Verdict right now. And then I think I'm just going to cast my Murktide Regent and cantrip. My graveyard's pretty stacked right now. Oh? This was unexpected. I wonder if there's like a Savine's Reclamation pile. These fly, right? With flying. Yes, it is a Savine's Rec pile. Ratchet. Oh, so this sucks. Think I give them the Ratchet? Legitimately not sure. I don't like the way things are trending. Cool. While I have a graveyard, I think I'm just doing this and drawing a card. And then next turn, I try to use Narset to dig for the other Stony Silence. Oh wait, does Ratchet do some bullshit with LED and just go infinite? Alright. So my opponent sacrifices... I'm just going to F6. My opponent sacrifices a thing. Yeah, does this just go infinite with LED? So they sacrifice the sword. I get to return Canonist. Well, I'm not dead immediately. Or wait, the Ratchet is like a once per turn thing, right? Yeah, this ability only triggers once per turn. Got it. Oh, actually the Canonist coming back is a pain in the ass. That's going to force me to Teferi first? Oh, and then like you're not a creature right now. All right, annoying. So I start here. I had a counterspell. I could just bounce Portable Hole out of play, but I don't. We bounce the Canonist out of play. Okay. My opponent sacks it. I guess that's going to fizzle my card draw ability. And then returns this. Okay, that's obnoxious. Now I don't get to play another spell. Not the best. Not really a point in me attacking. And Urza's Saga. There's still also just Savine's Wreck chilling in the yard. I probably need to be thinking about just like preserving my clock and conceding this game in case I have to like get through this slog again. All right, do your thing. Oh, it occurs to me that I did not actually talk about this combo. So the way this combo works is that Thopter Foundry sacks the Sword of the Meek. The Sword of the Meek leaves play. Thopter Foundry makes a 1/1, and this allows you to go and return this back to play. I'm going to cast this card, and if this card doesn't find me something really good, I think I am just dead. Yeah, none of that is going to do it. I'm just going to concede and save my clock for the next game. All right, so now we know about this Intuition pile nonsense. I want the Dress Down for Urza Saga tokens. I don't think I want Surgical. Daze is a maybe. Force of Negation doesn't feel great. I think I am just going to play some Dazes when I am on the play. I could play Lavinia for 0 drops. Don't feel the greatest about that. All right, I think this hand's kind of slow. Like, we, again, randomly have both of the Surveil lands. I am fine with a Ponder. We'll pass the turn. I'm going to remove this stop on my upkeep. We might end up a little tight on time. Actually, I want to just Beans this turn, I think. All right, cool. Beans resolve. Got a little too much mana right now for my liking. The Supreme Verdict is perfectly reasonable. Got Ponder that can start looking for Stony Silence. I've got Meticulous Archive that can start looking for Stony Silence. And it's got some mana fixing of their own. All right, for the first time, we are actually seeing a Painter now. I can die to like an Ancient Tomb or Lotus Petal situation next turn, or LED. So let's try to find some interaction here. This is so incredibly much mana. Let's put this back in the deck. Let's put one other land back in the deck. I think I'm just going to hold one of these in hand to hard cast much later in this game. I'm going to keep the fetches and put back the fetchables. I'm going to get another Tundra here. And I would like to find like a Swords to Plowshares or equivalent. The Ponder's not bad. If I take it, I can't Swords immediately. And the Painter doesn't matter after I get one more turn. I can just Verdict it. I think I'm just going to shuffle this. Force is fine, but awkward. Like, I can force. I lose the Supreme Verdict. That would be my answer to Painter. But, you know, if Grindstone goes on the stack, you got to do what you got to do. Cycling is cool, though. All right, cool. No immediate Grindstone nonsense. I'm unhappy about this. But I think I'm just gonna do it. I don't want to have that looming over me all game. Like, I think I just like the idea of Force of Will, your next play, aggressively, followed up with Kathy. Both of these cantrip. Now fuck this guy. I watched that happen once before. I'm not into it. Murktide. That better than Kathy? I guess it depends on what I draw. Land. This one can't be chump blocked as easily. Both cantrip. Yeah, I think I'm into this then. I am just gonna clear out the whole graveyard. Ace Swords, that is fantastic. Now my opponent still does have 6 cards. We're chilling. We could see an end of my turn intuition then. That's fine. Also fine. We'll Meticulous Archive to Surveil at end of turn. I do not need that land. Absolutely not. Brainstorm is great here. I think I'm just getting rid of 2 lands rather than trying to miracle this. I don't know. I can put back land and Kathy and then Brainstorm on my opponent's turn. That's fine. We'll do that. Yeah, make land drop. Land. Kathy. Hold up Swords as well. Yeah, this is fine. Opponent's just passing again. Wild. Reveal. We're going to put back land and probably 1 Murktide. We'll miracle this, and I'll fetch in response to my up the Beanstalk trigger. Grab a Tundra. Ponders are fine. Land drop, attack for 5. When it's at 14. I'd like to find like a counter spell here. Teferi's cool. Narset's cool. I'm going to take both. I think I'll take Narset first. No, I'll take Teferi first. This shuts off the counter spells and such. Chrome Courier. Sure. I think I fetch for a basic island now. Yeah, let's leave the Mystic Sanctuary in there. We'll cast this. Get a new card while leaving up Swords. There's Intuition, that's fine. Savine's Wreck. LED Chrome Mox. Feels like I give my opponent the Chrome Mox. That takes another card out of their hand. I'd love to find Force of Will off this random draw. It is Brainstorm. I have 11 of 13 required damage here for lethal next turn. The Chrome Mox is fine. I'm intending on this Swords to Plowshares being my spell for this turn cycle. This is targeting Ratchet, and then they're going to get a copy of it. That targets a Spell Bomb. That's currently fine. This is fine. So while this is still a creature, I will Swords this. I guess they could Spell Bomb the Ratchet. I think they have to not do that, though. I think I am just threatening too much damage here. That's great. So this is now 11 of 14. Opponent is at 3. Let's just see if we find anything that we need to do with mana on my own turn here. Put back this and maybe Ending. Go ahead and cast a Teferi. You're going to minus this on that Chrome Mox. That gets me the Ending. I don't think I have to use the Ending immediately. I'm going to pass the turn here. So this causes my opponent to go down another card. Auriok Salvagers. I think I just dress down. Just shut off that ability. My opponent could go infinite mana with Auriok Salvagers. Now this can resolve, and that's fine. I can sacrifice the dress down. I will plus Teferi. Let's just find a way to get the Salvagers out of the way. Swords is great. No shuffle. Make land drop. Swords this out of the way. All right, my opponent has given me the old GGs. That was a hell of a slog. Opponent's deck is sweet. Woo. All right, we've gotten paired against Anurag this round, which probably means some sort of control mirror. My hand's a little sketch. I've got Beans early, and if this game drags on forever, like, I'll get my way out of this. Okay, so probably a Leyline Binding based build. It is possible that there's just going to be like Scion of Draco nonsense here. I will not. We're just going to jam this. I don't know if I force a will to back it up. It is Leyline of the Guild Pack, so it is Scion stuff. I think I'm in. Fantastic. You're going to Bowmaster me? You're going to Leyline Binding me? Sure. Well, yeah, this is fine. I'm going to play around a Daze. If I draw exactly a like fetch land or surveil land, this is a little annoying. More Kathy. Oops, all Kathy. These are not legendary, by the way, despite like having a named character in the card name. We got some hedge mazes. Fourth land drop. A new Leyline Binding. I mean, it's resolving. But, you know, these have cantripped before Leyline Binding got involved. This is fine. I'll use this as a surveil land, and then I will start just hardcasting these for 5. No play. I think I pick up the green one here for redundancy. Brainstorm? Brainstorm is a much more mana-efficient way of doing this. I'm going to put that on top. And I think I cast this right now. Yeah, we're just going to put this back. Put this back. Do this. I could just cast this as a 5/5. Okay. Yeah, this is just stream of creatures dot plan. Swords is fine. I don't need to 2-for-1 myself to protect this when I can just hard cast a Force of Negation to protect a Katherine next turn. So here she comes. I am going to play this as a land. I'm going to sit here and think about this even though I like it. And put that on top. Is there another surveil land? No. That's awkward. I could trade this and swords for it, or I can trade Force of Will and Force of Negation for it. I think I'm just gonna force. Maybe I shouldn't, since I just have another body on top. But I really like the idea of 10 lifelinking power in play. Yes. Ooh. This game could swing very quickly if Anurag has like another Solitude. We Miracle. Bash for 5. We've got 10 next turn. I'm definitely nervous though. Like, this is what the game's about. My best draw would probably just be like a Force of Will to protect this. Swords is not what I want right now. This Polluted Delta is not live if this attack goes through. And now we just see how lucky I get. That's a Scion of Draco, which double cantrips. It is on its own just a 4/4 flyer without the guild thingy. Ponder's fine. So this gives the creatures you control abilities based on what colors they have. Swordsing this is a little awkward because it opens up this Polluted Delta temporarily. So if Anurag has one removal spell, block, like chump block, removal spell here keeps them alive. But if I swords this first, that does not, like a single removal spell does not keep them alive anymore. Leyline Binding and Swords are both already live. Don't know that this extra color changes anything. It could. I think I'm going to take my draw. That is a Swords. That occurs. Well, that's a hell of a draw. I think I use Lorien Revealed as a bait spell. And then if Anurag forces, I've got options. So now I think I attempt to swords this and swing for lethal. Let's see if it works. Ooh. That's fine. So, Anurag could miracle his own Kathy? Anurag has died. That was a little nerve-wracking. Do I have ways of destroying enchantments? Not so much. Lavinia's a little interesting. Hydroblast could kill a Leyline thingy. Leyline of the Guild Pact, that is. Pretty sure there's red in there. Veil of Summer's fine. Court of Cunning's fine. Dress Down, I guess, is interesting. Days seems like it has a narrow window to work. I think I'm interested in these 4. What are my 2 cuts? Force negations. I could go down some number of swords. The Scion becomes X-proof or shrouded, whichever one it is, some portion of the time anyway. I don't have any starting mana sources here. This is no good. This second hand is fine. I will keep it. I think I'm going to get rid of the Force of Negation. The current plan is plains, cycle for a Trop to play up the Beanstalk on turn 2. And Murktide does not change that plan. Imagine we're going to see that Triumph again. And I am correct. So that's everything. All right, you have Beans. And then I'm going to go ahead and get Trop. Force is actively good if up the Beanstalk resolves. It's just a little awkward if Anurag forces. Great. So everybody's got Beans. Kathy is going to draw a card. Do I let this resolve and then just play Teferi and bounce it? If I fight right now instead, Anurag does not have 1 extra card. Like, I could Force of Will, pitch Murktide Regent here, and then slam Narset and prevent card draw. Yeah, I don't hate it. Extra land, kind of whatever. There's a good amount of thought. Yeah, Carpet of Flowers, that's happening. Like, it's worth 1 mana right now. It's worth more in the future. Brainstorming to simply use the mana. Could be setting up more copies of this. So I've got options. I think I'm into attempting Narset, though. Denying this card draw is really good if it works. And if a counterspell happens, I probably need it to be on the Narset and not on the Teferi, because I need the Teferi to stop another one of these in the short term. We're in play. Let's dig. Swords? Swords or Brainstorm? I don't want the other Narset right now. I think I want the Brainstorm. Anurag has paused in my end step. I wonder if Force of Vigor is a thing over there. Okay, yep. And this cantrips. Air quotes cantrips, though. This is going to be hard cast Force of Vigor. It is. That is occurring. So now we'll immediately Narset minus, kind of set up the turn. Beans or Veil? My mana situation is a little awkward right now. I actually think I might be taking Prismatic Ending and getting rid of the Up the Beanstalk. Like, cast Brainstorm here with the intention of fetching Prismatic Ending. Yeah. Murktide Regents. Those are cool. Let's put this back. Let's put this back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just Tundra. If I think the Narset is fine on this for right now, I can just jam Teferi and bounce this out of play in the short term. Basic Plains is a little bit of a pain. I think I'm going to do that. Note that Narset is once each turn, so a Force could draw a card off Beanstalk here. All right. So let's minus. I'm going to take this out of play to preserve my Planeswalkers. And then next turn, I feel like I can permanently answer this while also doing some cool, like, Ponder stuff. Maybe 1 Murktide, maybe double Murktide. This is a pretty intricate game. The 5/5 is back. Again, the Narset prevents the card draw in the short term. And I know stuff doesn't get disrupted on my own turn because of the Teferi, which is really nice. Court of Cunning is cool. Let's try to find a way to permanently answer this. I'm probably just going to do this off green. I guess there's scenarios where I might change my mind. Let's say no to this. Alright. So we'll fetch. Don't have a swords in graveyard yet. I'm just going to get a basic. I think I am interested in permanently answering this, though. I guess I can play the Murktide first. And then I can see if I spike. Oh, I don't have beans. So let's permanently answer those beans and call it a turn. I kind of expect Leyline Binding or equivalent to happen to this Murktide Regent, and then I lose a Planeswalker. Got 2 swords that I'm looking for. I think I also have Supreme Verdict. I do. Solitude. You got it. Another carpet. That's fine. I'm going to lose Narset here over Teferi. The second carpet can now produce mana, so we might see some cantrips of some kind that have been stuck in hand for a couple of turns. Oof. That stings. So I am hoping for any sort of cantrip. Man, Supreme Verdict is insane right now. Stuff has flash. We're just acting at sorcery speed, though, for sure. How's my own Triumph? Awkward? I think I'm going to try to do better. So I'll nurse it. Let's go fishing. I don't have untapped green for beans, which is awkward. I'm still probably... I might need to take Force of Will, actually. Like Force Pitch, Court of Cunning. And we're going to play a sort of unfortunately small Murktide Regent. This is only going to be a 5/5, which is obviously not the best. My opponent surveils. Yeah, I don't think I left in enough swords. No carpet mana for now. Yeah, we're saying no to that. And like I know it resolves because I have Teferi at least for right now. So everything is going at Narset. I get to block and kill something, and then Narset dies. This gives these vigilance. I think I'm going to take out the Scion for that reason. Actually, I might take out the Solitude because it's better versus bounces. So Narset is down. These are back on. Anurag, please don't draw 3 again. My fragile heart cannot take it. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, this is a reason to block this one. Previously. Oof. I lose Teferi. And now this first strike, hexproof, trample, vigilance applies to all of those things. I'll miracle this into play. It's flies, so this doesn't block that. This does block that, so no attack. Surveil land? Negative. We've got mana. At least it's not another draw 3. That was a shuffle on the Ponder. This attack is very good here. Or I guess it doesn't fly. I guess there are double blocks. First strike, hexproof, trample, vigilance. Got it. We're going to get our other green source here and surveil. No. Veil of Summer, not the best. So this is a 4/4 first strike, hexproof, lifelink, trampler. This attack is okay, but then the crackback is not great for me. I think I'm chilling. I don't think I am interested in the double block, like first strike, removal spell, blowout situation. I think I'm just going to take some hits here, leverage my life total, and do something when things are a little bit safer. Teferi's cool. Let's cast this. I can Veil in response to a counterspell, which is happening. We get that Force of Will. I get a Prismatic Ending, which is like not the best right now. I can take the Scion out of play. This is castable. I can take the Scion out of play and have some good attacks in the short term. Like, this Teferi is, like, not awesome. Oh, right. These are hexproof right now. I could bounce this out of play, draw a card, have this come back, bounce Leyline out of play, draw a card. Kind of cute, but then allows this to be used on one of these, which I don't think I like. Let's go here. Beans. So I know this resolves now. Court is not awesome. I'm just going to hold these back. We're looking for verdict, verdict, swords, swords. It's back. All right, that's coming in here. I'm going to let it go. Maybe I should have gone down on prismatic ending. Look, prismatic ending is for this sort of stuff. I just didn't really draw it at the right window. Oh shit, it is supreme verdict. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. Send them. Accept. So this is now going to get shuffled in. Opponent takes 5. We verdict away both their creatures. Theirs will get shuffled in. And we're going to introduce this to the game and hope that it is favorable for me. Seems like it's getting forced. Yep. At this point, when possible, I'm going to start trying to F6 turns. We are both low on clock here. And I think this is only game 2. I think I won game 1. All right. Let's try to find stuff that matters. This is awkward because I know a Kathy is a little further down. Do I have you? No, I don't have Lorien revealed. I am just going to shuffle. Well, okay. So we'll hard cast here. Get an archives. Play an archives. I'm just going to bottom that. It's good sometimes. It's bad a lot of the time. I'm going to remove this upkeep stop until I need it. Not having a 4th color for prismatic ending to answer stuff like this is definitely relevant. All right, we are both bean gamers. I'm going to take away your beans, or at least attempt to. Sure. I also might overpay for prismatic ending to draw a card. Yep. Anorak has more cards than I do. All right. More cards and more mana at that. That's great. I think I'm interested in doing this first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get rid of those beans, draw a card. There's a Force of Will. That was the bait. So we'll now do this and attempt to answer Kathy before their card draw resolves. Fuck. Yep. So stack clears. I draw a card. That's great. It's great a turn from now. I'll offer a trade. Does not accept. This draw 4 is going to be huge. And 2 counterspells were used on this last turn, so it's somewhat likely to resolve. All right, I get hit for 5. I'm back to where I was before. We have dueling lifelink. No one is getting anywhere in terms of life totals. Anorak's Carpet of Flowers are going to kind of be a liability in terms of time. Lorien revealed. Draw a card. Damn it. That's fine. I'm going to Mystic Sanctuary it back to the top of my deck in all likelihood. Yep. Yes. Hit for my 5, regain my life. The cycle continues. I can't really F6 through Anorak's turn because I have to respect things for Veil of Summer purposes. Yep. Solitude's very good. Oh, fuck. All colors. All colors for... Oh, fuck. I messed up. Maybe I didn't, though. Like, maybe resolving the draw 4 with Veil of Summer backup is more important. I'm not used to that interaction. 21. So I know where this is going already. So I cast Lorien Revealed. All right. Brainstorm seems good here. Put back you, fetch. That's my last fetchable. Maybe Brainstorm first, actually. Unclear. I don't have a lot of time to think about it. I have to just keep playing. Sure. All right, now I'll look for a targeted removal spell. All right, we do find one. Put back you. Just gonna do this now. I'll take some damage from the Solitude. I've got Force of Will that double cantrips. Ooh. If this is a Solitude, I just have to force it to keep the power off the board. Everybody gets cards. It is Christmas. I probably end up timing out. I think that's how this one likely ends. Well, let's see what we can do. Yes. No shuffle. Murktide. Cast, draw 2. At this point, we're always yielding to this. Cast. This also draws 2. More beans. I think I hold up Veil. Maybe it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I just have more threats. Leyline Binding is fine. I lose Murktide. And I lose something else. I lose both creatures. I now draw a card. Oh, fuck, I have 3 cards in library. I did not plan for that portion of this. I will be F6ing my next couple of turns until my life total is 0 and just blowing Anurag's clock. I can't win this one. I didn't realize that. Maybe Anurag will die, though. I think I die first. Yeah, we have both spent so long just staring at the clock that I don't know that we were watching library counts. It's possible he was. I was not. I should not have played this last up the Beanstalk. Lag's also starting to get pretty bad. Force of Vigor on the Beanstalks. Yep, okay, sure. I take 7 in combat, and I am dead the following attack step. No attack. Wants to deck me. That's fair. I respect it. So I want these extra swords as to not die. I can also consider just playing this as something else that can clock my opponent. Veil of Summer is a pain in the ass to leave up right now. Prismatic Ending, I guess, matters for Beans. So I went ahead and rebooted, and it looks like it unsideboarded. So I wanted Court in, Days out. I ended up with that back out. This is fine. I rebooted because I was getting like very significant amounts of lag. I have lands and spells. Leyline is very actively good. I'm going to kind of play more aggressively than normal here. Top that in terms of like the clock and such, especially if I'm going to be holding up Force of Will pretty much immediately. So we're beansing. Great. So now I have Force of Will to stop something like a Scion of Draco that happens, because this would be hexproof. We're going to do this, get rid of Lorien Revealed, draw a card. We stuck that, which is great. Grab Tundra, play Narset. Minus. I am just going to take Brainstorm. Pass turn. And we'll see what happens. Narset. Looking for threats. Fairy is great. I'm going to go ahead and cast that. Opponent says no. I'm going to let them say no. Sure. Guess I'm going to remove that just so I can F6 my opponent's turn. Or more accurately, like F2. We'll Brainstorm, looking for threats. Yeah, sure. That's a threat. Put back 1, 2. Gonna continue looking for threats. Nope. Yes. Land drop. Giant threat. Draw a card. Yep. This is fine. This is a 3-turn clock. Anurag has 2 cards left. Anurag can't cantrip. That's annoying. All swords it. Yep. Yep. Get out. Fantastic. We're going to ponder. I can find like another Murktide or another threat or whatever. Sure. Another Murktide is great. No shuffle. Shuffle off this. Maybe shuffle off this in a second. Put you back. Put you back. Fetch. Untapped. Blue land. Cast Ponder. Bam. 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 No shuffle. Murky. Bash for 11. And we'll see if I just get there immediately. Solitude's annoying. Yep. I believe that was Anurag conceding to me, just kind of in recognition that I got there, which I very much appreciate. That was an insane game. All right, so how do we feel about Kathy, and how do we feel about this deck more generally speaking? Let's see if we can get this all on screen here. I think I feel positively about this deck. I think it maybe needs some edits. Having a single untapped green source in the deck is pretty rough. Like, I know that we are a blue-white deck at heart, but I think you might need a second untapped green source. I don't have reps to know, but like, I identified that very early on as a potential problem. I think Triumph of Saint Katherine is good. I don't think it's insane. Sometimes it is not going to line up well against opposing creatures, like it innately does not have flying, for example, so like it's not going to be the best versus Murktide Regent. It didn't come up in this league, but it is a single body, so the lifelink might not always stabilize you versus something like Broadside. It comes back versus non-white removal. We did see a lot of white removal in this lead, though, between like Swords and Leyline Binding and Solitudes. It says something about the general deck that I, being unsure as I was about some of the sideboarding and decisions and sequencing, since I don't play like cantrip decks all that often, like did this well. Keep in mind there's the caveat of like the concession in the last round. But this deck is objectively powerful. I think without the beans, I'm not the most excited about drawing this card. Like, in these, oh, I bounced this out of play, I temporarily removed this out of play, I cast it again, this becomes a part of the draw engine, like, that matters, and that's really neat. I like that a lot. I don't know that I would want this in a deck that does not have up the Beanstalk, though. The random miracles did come up a few times during this league. It's definitely relevant. It can definitely pivot and like change your plan for good or bad. Like sometimes you could be setting something up and then you ponder shuffle, end up hitting this on your next draw step, and then like you pivot, but I guess the pivot is optional. I wasn't great at answering enchantments. The deck's not green heavy enough to support Force of Vigor. Maybe you need some other disenchant style effect for things that Prismatic Ending doesn't innately hit, or maybe you need one red source or something in the deck just attached to some other random land so you can go up to X=4 for Prismatic Ending. But generally speaking, I'm gonna give this deck a thumbs up. I think this is a relatively early build for the online metagame, and I would be happy to play with this deck again. I might try a slightly different version. But yeah, generally speaking, positive thoughts on this one. Let me know in the comments below kind of what you think of this one. And if you find yourself needing copies of Triumph of Saint Katherine or anything else from this league, check out TOA Magic, that is Tales of Adventure Magic, and get free shipping on sweet cards. Folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm going to go and eat dinner, as my brain is fried after recording with this. See ya!